Welcome back to another episode of the Do You podcast. I know we're on a roll. It's good. It's great. Uh, we got NASCAR driver Jackson Leonard here with us today.
That's right.
And yeah, let's just start it off. Let's kick it. So Jax or Lucas, whatever. Do you think do you think that if you're not first, you're last?
That's a very deep philosophical question that I think has many answers, but I think that is true in some senses and is not true in other senses. And that is my vague, not way of answering that.
Well, yeah. So this is if you ever watch Talladega Nights with Will Ferrell, and this is basically the crux of that movie where he's just trying to always come in first, always be the best, always succeed. Because if you don't succeed, then you're a failure. If you're not first, you're last. And so that's kind of the question: is it black and white like that, or is it more like, no, you can be successful in your own way. You can, I don't know, you can like kind of be in that gray area, where you're like in the middle zone. You're trying to find your way.
So I think if you can strive for excellence and have a good attitude and not be rude or degrading to other people, but still like aspire for the best and like do it in a good way, I think then that's pretty good. I think you can do that.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. It's another question with do the ends justify the means, kind of, where it's like I feel like the means matter more than the ends in some scenarios. Whereas like as long as you can do something to your best ability, and you know that you put your all in it, then you at the end of the day internally know that there was nothing more you could do, and so that's one thing that is a very I agree with you. It's a very philosophical question.
It really is, dude. Because like you were saying, it could end up kind of like the movie Click with Adam Sandler, where if you just focus,
Nightmare Fuel.
You focus so much on like one thing, and you don't see kind of the journey to get there. Like the journey is sometimes the best part, and you don't want to miss out on that.
No, I definitely agree. That's a movie that gave me nightmares when I was like 7 years old. Like I remember I didn't watch it all the way through because at the end it actually does have like a somewhat, I guess, happy ending, but kind of. But like I remember watching it and then like him like clicking through his life and just being on autopilot basically like throughout it, and I'm like, that's terrifying as a kid to watch.
That's how he
a
ended
terrifying
up
movie.
Fat guy divorced for a little while.
Yeah. Okay, well let's get into some more fun stuff now. let's move away from this. But yeah, so what is do you have a favorite car? And if you do, why is it your favorite?
That's like the kind of the common car guy question people ask.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And that's such a difficult one to answer because I immediately go to, well, what category? What do you want it to do? How much does it cost? How old is it? Like, there's so many variables. But if I had to say a car that I really appreciate is a car that I used to have a Scion FRS. And that car was so much fun. It wasn't the fastest thing in the world, but man, that thing was amazing around corners. And I sold that thing after having it for a few months, and I really enjoyed it, and I would love to have another one. But right now, the market's just they're more than what I sold it for back then, and I made money on that car. And so now the market's so hot right now, that car is not worth more than what I originally paid for it. For me, this kind of a cheap interior.
Yeah. So
it's like I'm not gonna spend like $20,000 on a car that's 8 years old and made by Subaru and Toyota.
Yeah, so why do you think that, because this is a similar thing with the third generation 4Runners, where all of a sudden they started popping off and got pretty expensive?
Yeah.
Like, comparatively to what they might be worth, like, realistically. Why do you think, and for those of you that don't know, Jax is the resident car guy in our group, so he knows a lot of these answers to these questions. Why do you think that it's, it kind of has that cycle there where it's like, oh, it's kind of down and everything, and then all of a sudden people want the car and it just spikes in value, like with the Scion, like with the 4Runner?
So there's a few things that play with this. There's one, it's a generational thing. So the third gen 4Runner, 96 2002, and so now they're about anywhere from 25 to 20 years old now, and so you either have people that aspire to have a new 4Runner in high school that are now in their 30s and their early 40s, and they want to have that like iconic high school memory of a new 4Runner, and so they want to kind of reclaim their youth. And then you also have now that they had gotten, because brand new the MSRP to like 35 grand, but now they're like, anywhere from like 3 to 10 grand depending on the condition. And so you have a relatively cheap but very capable off-road vehicle that's really intriguing to a lot of people. Plus the Toyota tax of it being a reliable car that can go forever. I mean, my first car was one of those, and it had 246,000 miles on it, and it was older than me. And that thing just ran like a top up until its last day when it met its demise. And those things are amazing. They'll run forever.
Okay, so that kind of explains it then, where it is that like yearning for like your high school dream almost, where it's like I want that car. It's a good car. I can have it, and then also
Right.
you can upgrade it too and stuff like on your own right. Like you can put a turbo in it. You can change the wheels, put lift kit in it, all
you
that.
do crazy stuff to those things. And I went to a couple foreigner meets and with those things, and surprisingly, a lot of those guys that had them were older, 30s, 40s, 50s guys that had made their money, and this was their like fun car. And so now that kind of enthusiast level has come up. There really aren't too many young guys into those because the young guys want a sports car and to go fast and be flashy, and the Forerunner really isn't flashy unless you know what it is.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like a cool little side culture.
Okay. So it has this little niche. It's a little niche in there. It's a cult classic.
Yep.
Okay, so if that's your answer to that one, what do you think then is your least favorite car? Out of
there's so many that I despise.
The worst of the worst. We can do a top 3 if you want, but the worst of the worst.
My go-to most hated car is the early 2000s Dodge Grand Caravan. I think it's so heinously ugly. The back is just looks like well, I don't remember what that cartoon was with the mom spider and like with the little remember that like the yellow spider. I forget what it was called, but it has like.
Was it a Disney cartoon?
I think it was. I don't know. It was early 2000s stuff, but it was like the Dodge Grand Caravan just has that massive round butt that's just so ugly, and they're so. Like I've driven a couple at work, and they're so weird inside, and it's just typical early 2000s cheap Chrysler interior, and it's just I hate it. And it did horribly in crash tests too, so it's
all around.
Yeah, it's just Chrysler lying to their customers saying it's a safe family car and it'll probably kill you if you get in a really fast accident. Don't buy that car. Not good.
You fan of any Chrysler cars? Any I mean, it's a big brand,
no.
I guess, but no. Okay.
No. Well, here's the thing. So the Ram that we had, right?
Yeah.
That was made by Chrysler.
Yeah.
It was a 2019 Ram. Had the 5.7 Hemi V8. They've been making that engine for like 15 years. You'd think it'd be reliable.
Yeah.
30,000 miles, motor blew up on that thing. It was under warranty, but the dealership didn't want to cover it. It was a nightmare. They had it for 4 months. They didn't want to. They wanted receipts of oil changes.
Jesus.
Like 3 of the service advisors got fired, so we kept getting the runaround. It was a nightmare to get that thing fixed. And the moment we got it fixed, we traded it in and got. I just bought a cheap Prius for my dad to drive because he needs to drive a more economical car because he's going really far for work now.
Yeah.
And it's just, if this is the local dealership network for Chrysler cars, it's just ridiculous. Because the one closer to us, they sent us off with safety recalls for the brake pedal falling off, battery terminals getting loose, and airbags not deploying and crashing. That's literally illegal. And they let us leave with safety recalls because they didn't want to do it. They just went, oh, we don't want to do that.
Are you serious?
Yeah, go somewhere else. Go to Stevens Creek. Don't go here.
Sorry about that, guys. Siri popped up and canceled my recording, so
Wow.
we're starting from where we were, but yeah, we were talking about the Chrysler network, and because they're part of DGDG, right? That whole group, or no?
This is just Chrysler as a corporation. DGDG is a local dealership branch. It's like a
Oh, is it just around here?
Yeah, it's like just a guy that owns a bunch of dealerships around here.
Okay, so okay. I thought it was because I obviously I see their commercials and everything, and
yeah, no,
I'm
when I
like,
was a
what
kid,
the
I thought
fuck is DGDG?
Smythe, Volvo, Mercedes was like a national thing. That's just a local.
Yeah. Okay.
Dealership branch.
That's interesting. That what is there a lot of those then that like you just put it on the street, like put it on Capitol or something, and then just all the DG brands?
Yeah, so it's just the guy. It's Sean Delgrand. It's that guy. He just buys up whatever dealership he wants, I guess,
and then just puts it there.
Just add it to part of
That's pretty funny, actually.
Yeah.
I guess that's when you have money, you know.
Yep.
But
big money.
Okay, so is there, because obviously you're really into cars. It's your thing. Like you're interested in it. Was there like, do you remember a seminal moment, like a moment in your life that you're like, oh, that's cool, like with cars, like that led you, like when you were young, that kind of was like, oh, that's what I'm interested in.
Well, I've always been hands-on. I've always loved figuring out how things work. I love kind of the physics of things. And so when I was a kid, I always had little toy cars, and I would watch how the wheels spin. And when I was like a little kid, I had one of those like Power Wheels fire truck things. I would drive that thing around everywhere. And then in 2006, when the movie Cars came out, and it illustrated for me vehicle dynamics in a very exaggerated way, with how the cars sway back and forth, and how the tires are soft, and the way the suspension travels, and that just gave an amazing visual for that, and kind of showed me that some cars do have personalities. Different cars have different traits, and so that was kind of that cemented a already growing passion. And after that movie came out, it was game over. I mean,
the Cars movie just in general is like just a great movie. Like it really is.
It really is.
Like,
I wish that like there was more content from that universe.
Yeah, I mean they have Cars 2, which we don't talk about, and then Cars 3, which is like it's like it's whatever.
The first 80% of that movie was really good, and then when like my boy Lightning just gave it up at the end, halfway through his final
it's symbolic.
race.
He's giving to a newer generation.
I love the story. I think it probably is the right way, but I still wanted to see my guy beat Jackson Storm, because that guy sucks. Like I really wanted to see him do it, and so it makes sense. But it was sad.
Yeah. Well, did you ever watch the Planes movie that's set in the same universe?
I saw one. I was like, I can't.
Yeah, I watched the first one with a few, like, I have young cousins, so me and them went and watched the first one, like, I don't know, whenever it first came out.
Yeah.
And that movie was interesting.
I mean, it's better than Paw Patrol, but it's still
it's
not Cars. It's not the A-list cast and stuff.
Yeah, no, I mean they got good guys for that movie too. Which, I mean, this isn't a movie review, but it's a good movie. Just Cars.
It is good. Highly recommend. Go watch Cars.
Yeah, go watch it. Even if you've already watched it, watch it again.
And here, one little thing about Cars. Here's how detail focused I am about that movie. Right. So I saw the movie in theaters when I was a kid, and I remember that scene in Radiator Springs at night when like they just fixed up the town.
Yeah.
Lightning McQueen had side mirrors. They put some on. I remember seeing it in the theater, and I was like, that looks really weird. And then when the movie got released to DVD, they cut that out. He never actually had side mirrors in the modern version. He doesn't. But if you look, there's one movie like just a poster of the movie of him under a tarp from like early 2005. And he has the outline of mirrors in that photo.
What in the world?
In the photo release.
Huh.
But I don't know if they got a bad review or people thought it looked weird. Because there's a scene earlier where Mater's like backing up. He's like, oh, we'll get your side view mirrors so you can back up. They did give him mirrors in the movie I saw in the theaters.
Yeah.
No, it was there. And then I can't find any other footage of it online. No, it's such a minute detail that no one probably noticed it. But I remember that, and I will keep that to the grave. I know that Lightning McQueen had side mirrors in the first release of the movie.
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters. That's all that matters.
As long as you know, you can spread it to the world.
The world needs to know.
Hashtag exposed Disney.
Hashtag exposed.
Okay. So obviously you've kind of got some cars that you've been talking about for a while, and like the FRS we talked about, which is like one of your favorite cars. Is there like another car that you're looking at, like another specific model or brand or anything like that is like the next thing that after, I mean, I don't think Alexis is really gonna crap out, but if it does, the next one after that.
I don't know. I mean, I toy around with a lot of different things. I'm always thinking about different cars to buy. I've thought about a Tesla, but that's just, those are expensive. But like they're really sick. I drive a few at work, and oh my god, they're so fast.
So actually, this is one. So with the Tesla, because I remember, this was ages ago, like years ago. So, but I remember you talking about like how much Tesla was just not it.
Oh,
like,
I was such a hater. This is what I do. I hate something new, and then I really learn about it. I'm like, you know what? That's not that bad. Actually.
Yeah.
I'm kind of known for doing that.
Yeah, well, because this is what I'm. Tesla's a very interesting company. Obviously, you have Elon Musk, which is now the second richest man in the world. He was the first for a little bit,
Yeah.
but it's like, yeah, I mean, it really somewhat seems like with that company and with Tesla in general, it's like it's not necessarily about like I'm sure money's an obviously a good thing to have and it can make them do more things, but that honestly seemed like a project for Elon Musk just to like use as his like passion almost. Like this is what he was interested in, and like it can help like save the world and it's the future and everything, which I'm sure he saw money in.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's also a factor in it, but it is one of those things where it's interesting how much I guess he does and how much Tesla does on its own, right?
Well, I think it originally started out for him as a proof of concept because the first car that Tesla released wasn't the Model S in 2012. It actually was, they took a Lotus Elise two-door sports car in like 2008 and they released that. Very low production, you really don't see them.
Huh.
But they made a little two-door roadster. That was Tesla's first car to kind of get their name out. And
did they sell that? Like
they did.
Oh, wow.
I've seen a few of them. They've I don't know how many they sold, but it wasn't that much because there aren't that many Lotus Elises to begin with.
Yeah.
And so they did like sell those little cars, and those were mainly sold to kind of like wealthy CEO type people that just kind of wanted something obscure and different.
Yeah.
But that was kind of the seed money for. I mean, he also has a lot of money, but like that was the first money Tesla earned as a company that funded the Model S.
Okay, I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
So that's how, because so nowadays what was it, the Model 3 that was priced down, like it was the lower priced model?
Yeah,
was
that
it
starts with that. So that well, they do tricky stuff with that because you think it's a $35,000 or $32,000 car. It's not. As of right now, Tesla does like to change it bi-weekly. They change it all the time. But right now, the Model 3, if you look at the not incentive price, like the actual MSRP of the cars, it starts at $40,000.
Okay, so the incentive pricing where you get like tax reduction or reduced gas price.
If you go on their website, there's a slider and it defaults to with like their incentives and what you could be buying for, because they calculate in gas savings, potential tax incentives, federal tax incentives, and so. But like if you already have a Prius, like you're not really saving that much in gas. You're just like having a cool car.
Yeah.
But like my Lexus that gets 9 miles per gallon, I could factor that in because that gas alone is a car payment every month.
Yeah. That's one thing with the Tesla. What's interesting because I remember back in whenever they released the S. So whenever they released that, like that's kind of. I mean, I guess because that's when Tesla started growing, and like I guess 2012 is when they really started like moving up and everything like that, or at least the branding of that company started elevating itself.
Yeah, that was the first year of Model S.
Yeah. Oh, it was the first.
Yeah,
Okay, that actually makes a lot of sense then. Yeah. Because when that was released, I remember seeing maybe like one or two of the cars driving around in the bay and everything like that, and being like, oh man, that's a smooth car. Like that's a sick car, and it's something like you hadn't really seen before because the design is actually, it's elegant in a way. Like it's very it actually reminds me of the MacBooks almost, where it's rounded edges instead of like hard like straight edges and everything, so it makes it a more like smooth car. But what's interesting is and obviously this is it depends how you look at it. Like I kind of see it as like when they started moving towards the lower pricing cars with the 3 and like putting it as like, I mean, like you said, it's $45,000, so it's still a lot of money.
Yeah.
But that was lower than obviously the S, which was like 80,000, I think, when it was new.
The S is there from like 80 to 100.
Yeah, so it's like
the new one's like 140, 150 for the plaid one that goes like.
For the plaid one.
Well, have you seen that one?
No.
It does 0 to 60 in like 1.9 seconds. It does 0. I've seen 0 to 130 in 6. That was 0 to 60 in my FRS was 6.
That's
and it
ridiculous.
does 0 to 130 in 6.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like it's mind-boggling. It's bad. It's faster than all the Lamborghinis, all the supercars right now. All like the road legal supercars. It's fast.
Is it electric? It's
Yeah.
all
Oh, yeah,
electric.
all electric.
Really? Wow. Okay.
All electric. And mind you, this is on a like 4,000-5,000 pound sedan, the same Model S that came out in 2012. It's the same chassis.
Wow. Okay. I wonder how. What in the world?
It's
how
just-
did they?
Because batteries have with the electric motors, they have instant torque. There is no engine to rev up. There's no transmission to shift.
Oh, okay.
So when you punch it, it's all there.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense now.
They're crazy fast.
Yeah. I've driven in a Model 3. I haven't driven it, but I've been in a Model 3 once when it was on like ludicrous mode. I think is what it's called.
It is
And that
the
thing-
performance, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that thing goes
So,
like fast.
I think that one is 0 to 60 in like 3.5 seconds.
Really? So it's
So
not even. So
it's
this
like
is like.
Almost less than half of that.
Oh my gosh.
Like
I gotta get in this car now. I wanna see it.
mind-bogglingly fast.
That's ridiculous, bro.
Like it's insane.
But so this is my thing with Tesla is like, I've always liked the car even from just an aesthetics perspective. Like I might not have known that much about like their actual inner workings when I was like a kid when it was first coming out in like 2012 and everything. But like now that I'm learning more about it and like looking at them and everything, I mean I don't like it necessarily. Like I guess it's good for the environment. That's not really the reason that I like it though. Like because with that it's interesting because you still have to produce because this is the whole thing is like with it right now you still have to produce significant fossil fuels to actually just make the car in general.
Right.
And especially because now they're moving their productivity to China, this is what I said before Tesla like stock popped off and everything. I remember saying like the second they open a factory in China and like actually start producing a lot of cars and parts and everything, then their stock is gonna boom.
Oh yeah.
Like then it's gonna go crazy because that's all they really need to do because
then
then
the
they can
profit
lower
is
pricing
huge.
and sell more too.
Yeah, the margins give it.
Exactly, because now, like, it used to be, I haven't checked to be fair recently, but it used to be like a year ago, a year and a half ago, even longer than that actually, maybe like 2 years at this point. The last year's been a blur, so, but it used to be that it was somewhat like, to get a window fixed, it took like 3 months, because there was no parts and certain sellers.
It is
still the
it's
same.
still a nightmare to get
Okay.
anything for a Tesla because with a Tesla it has to go to a Tesla certified place and it has to use Tesla parts.
So it's still the same.
And
Okay.
because Tesla has so much demand, they're just barely making parts to build the new cars. They're not making parts for your one that broke. Like if you dent a door, that doors they're making have to go on the new ones. They don't have time to make extra doors for cars that are already out there.
Yeah, well, especially because they got so much of a backlog of like orders essentially that people have like ordered hundreds of thousands of these. Did you see the Cybertruck? The Cybertruck orders were insane.
That car's not anywhere near coming out. People.
I'm sure, but people the order rate for it because I think they started doing the pre-order
I wouldn't be
or whatever.
surprised. It's crazy.
Yeah, where it's like you just have to put $500 down, and they got something like 100,000 or I forget exactly how much. It was an insane amount of people that put the 500 down.
Oh yeah.
Because this time though they made it refundable. That wasn't the first case with the 3, which is why it's like they took like 2.5 years to start actually putting cars out.
The
for
Model
the 3.
X, I think they started doing pre-orders in that in like 2014, 2015. That car
Really?
didn't come out till like 17, 18.
Yeah.
Like people were on pre-order for that car for
Jesus.
a few years.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy to me because what they did is like put like 2,000 down, 3,000 down, and it's not refundable though, so you're essentially locked in.
You just paid them.
Yeah, exactly, but they use that money because that's the thing. They use the money to make the cars.
Oh yeah.
And so they got all of this money, and then they made the cars, and then you paid the rest of the money, and then they used that to make more cars.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, just a way of like building up their company. To be fair, they got a unique product that they knew the people that would pay that money would want that car, and so it's like they were smart somewhat in how they did it. I think it's kind of like it's a little odd for me because I'm like that's so weird for me to be like I'm gonna wait 3 years to get my car.
Well, and Tesla's the only company that could pull it off because even with the Model X, halfway through people waiting, they ran into production issues with the doors that go up. They had issues with them.
Really?
And
okay.
so they asked for more money. So the people that had a pre-order, they were like, "Hey, can you give us like another $1,000?"
Are you serious?
And they did, and people did it. Only Tesla could get away with it. If
That's
Ford,
crazy.
imagine if GM, if Chevy or Buick or one of those American companies was like, "Hey, could you like give us like $5,000 and we promise we'll get you a car in 3 years. Like, no way. No way anybody, but I'm not waiting 3 years for the new Buick whatever to come out. Like, I'll just go get something else. But with Tesla, it's this idea of the future. Because you got to remember, when Tesla came out in 2012, what were we doing in 2012? The iPhone 4?
Yeah,
the
basically.
iPad 2?
Like, it was all like
in 2012, like, kids still didn't have smartphones.
Yeah.
Like, I remember,
Simpler time.
in, like, God, it was, like, around 2012, like, the first kid in my middle school got a phone, and it was, like, a little HTC flip phone. And, like, if you had an iPod Touch, you were so cool with an iPod Touch in 2012. Like, that was the first year of the YouTube Rewind.
Was
like,
it? Really?
Was. Well, there was one in 2012, one in 2011, but they're kind of, whatever. But, like, the real, like, production one was 2012.
Okay.
And so when you think back to 2012, and then you see all of a sudden this Tesla comes out with a 17-inch touchscreen and a digital gauge cluster and no buttons, that was the future. And that car still is the future all these years later.
Well, it still looked to. Like, that company, and they've... One, I think it's true, but two, they've marketed themselves very well in the fact that they present themselves, like you said, as the future. They are. I was watching a lot of Elon Musk, interview highlights recently, and the guy's insane. Like, I think he's somewhat awkward. I think as he's gone on and become more successful,
he was really awkward in like the first Tesla press release.
Because I remember watching. I watched that, but I also watched this thing about terraforming Mars, and he was in front of like thousands of scientists and everything. That was one of the most awkward speeches I've ever watched.
Dude, he was so awkward.
But now he's a little more.
I know
comfortable now.
That I think he also is confident because he's like people call him like
a genius.
Tony Stark.
Yeah.
But like I bet you he probably paid like an acting coach or something.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Or his PR people at least, like someone that knew what they
yeah.
would do. Yeah.
He had to have someone like train him public speaking skills.
Yeah, definitely.
Because he was like a quirky nerd in the 90s. Like he made his money
on
PayPal, and like I saw a video because like in the early 2000s he bought like some McLaren or whatever, and he was like a really skinny dorky kid, and then he became this super cool dude. But like, his roots was he was just a guy.
Yeah, there was a story, I don't remember who told it to me, but there was a story of him where he obsesses over stuff. He's very obsessive, and so he would essentially, when in his freshman year of college, and this is his roommate saying this, so it might be true, it might be not, I don't know, but his roommate that was with him in his freshman year of college, the first semester, Elon Musk decided that he was more interested in, I believe it was like thermodynamics or something like that. And so instead of going to his English class, he basically skipped every class of his English class and just studied thermodynamics by himself.
I heard about that, yeah.
Did you? Yeah. It was either I think it was thermodynamics. But he essentially, and he almost failed that class. Like, he almost failed that and was like flunked out. But it was so interesting because he definitely gives off those vibes of like super obsessive over like specific things. Like, when he puts his mind to something, he's just like, that's what I'm doing and that's what I'm gonna do.
Well, I've heard reports that in the factories, warning signs aren't painted yellow because he doesn't like yellow.
Really?
Yeah. And like,
Interesting.
How like every
like
car
orange
has
or
that
something?
like warning sticker on the visor about airbags?
Yeah.
He like, they don't have it.
They just don't have a warning.
They just don't. I don't. The last time I drove one, they either don't have it, or it's like on the inside where you don't really see it.
Yeah.
Or it's like really tiny. Like he tried to get around it. It might just not even be yellow, but like,
maybe it's like a dull orange or something like that, like a calmer color.
Yeah, it might just be black.
That kind of defeats the purpose
but
of the sign.
I know he tried to do something to get around the visor airbag thing.
And
he didn't want any buttons in the car, but like they have to have like in the Model 3. Like the hazard button, which is like a DOT requirement, like you have to have a button for that. It's up on the visor. It's like up on the ceiling by like where your sunroof controls would be. Like every other car has it like down the console or by the
where you can just tap it,
where you can see it.
Yeah.
You can't just see the hazard button in a Tesla. You have to go look for it because he doesn't want any buttons.
That's interesting. I didn't actually know about that because they have in the 3, I think, at least, they have the full glass roof,
it's just
right?
That tablet. Yeah, and then it has the full glass.
Okay, and then the button up there, basically.
Yeah, so there's a pillar where the windshield meets like the roof, and there's another pillar right behind the crossbar that goes right behind the driver's headrest. But then after that, all the way to the back, it's like whole piece of glass.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember sitting in one and looking up. I'm like, that's kind of odd. Why can't I see the sky?
Yeah.
Like, why can't I see the sky from the back?
And the Model X is the opposite. The whole front windshield goes like halfway up the roof. So, God help you if you have to replace that glass.
Yeah, seriously.
You get a rock chip in that.
Oh, bro, nah, it's
windshield.
over. It's over
Yeah.
if you replace that. That's one thing with. But you know what I do like? So, they're very low maintenance because there's not a lot of like. You don't need like oil or anything like that really in it.
Right.
Like it's just very low maintenance, which is something I do like because it's like, and that's why I think a lot of people around here. You know, even when I was in Jordan, I would see quite a few Teslas in the capital city.
Yeah.
And I was like, why are there Teslas here? What in the? Because last time I went, 4 years ago, before this last time I went, there was like no Teslas. It was all like Toyotas or like maybe Fords or something, like tougher kind of cars, I guess. But you have a Tesla, which is a tough car, but it's like I was like, that's kind of wild to see that. But around here, you see it everywhere.
Everybody has one.
Everywhere. It's not even when I see a Tesla, I'm like, cool. Like it doesn't even faze me anymore. Like they have a unique look to them, but unless I see the Model S, it doesn't faze me because the Model S is a little more rare, I would say, because it is a more expensive car.
Yeah, it just looks more.
Yeah, it stands out more.
Well, I drove the Model 3 at work. I drove a fast Model 3 at work. It was amazing, right? But then you get out and I'm like, that car looks so lame.
Yeah.
Like especially
really
with the hubcap, the hubcap wheels on it, like it looks so lame.
Is the X? I'm blanking. Is the X the bigger one or the medium
X is
size?
the big SUV with the,
with
the doors that go up.
I don't know how to feel about that.
And the Y is just a fat Model 3, basically.
Yeah.
What it is.
Basically. Did they come out with the Y?
After.
They came out. Oh, it was after. Yeah, because it spells sexy, right? That's
Yeah.
what it is. It's just the 3 instead of E. Because you had the E for.
Right, and then you have the Cybertruck and the Roadster, which haven't come out yet.
Yeah. What do you think they're gonna spell next?
I don't know.
I'm probably just not going for it anymore. He's like, I accomplished it.
He got his meme.
Yeah, it's.
There's speculations because there's also like a semi-truck thing, so there's different.
Yeah, they do have a semi-truck. Yeah.
I don't know. That is going to be revolutionary.
That's a beast.
If they can actually get that like legitimized, and that companies are actually trading in their fleet of trucks for an electric Tesla truck, that is going to cut down on emissions like crazy.
Yeah, but I mean, it'd be interesting because surely those cars also have a lot of safety. Like they do have a lot of safety mechanics in it because the ones that you would sell for semis to companies would have like an automatic driving feature in it. So obviously you still might need to have someone behind the wheel, but they might not be driving a lot of this long stretches.
Yeah.
So.
Well, in the new Tesla truck, it actually only has one seat in the middle. It's like a center seat.
In the Cybertruck or in the semi?
In the semi-truck.
In the semi.
Yeah,
okay,
it's
interesting.
like one seat in the middle, and then you can get like a sleeper cab in the back, but like there's literally the driver's seat's in the middle of the truck.
That's very odd. What?
Well, it's kind of like there's a McLaren like that too, like a hypercar.
Just in the middle of the car.
Yeah, it's very like race
car.
like
that seems so weird because surely you should be on like one side or the other. Like that doesn't seem like I could drive that if I'm just sitting in the middle.
Part of me wonders if with the McLaren, if they just do that to get around like making a different model for Europe.
Oh.
But like, it's just made
so
literally the McLaren has like one seat in the middle and there's like two like half seats on either side of you. That's really bizarre.
Do you know why in Europe they drive on the left side?
I don't. I know there's a story. But
yeah, because
it's something about like being rebellious. I think. I think it's something like that. Like one place was established, and then somewhere else got established.
Because to me it's
like,
so weird. Because like you just said, companies do have to make different versions of cars for Europe and America and like any place else, but it's like that's so odd to me now that I'm thinking about it because that's like you might make 1,000 models for America and 1,000 models for Europe or something like that, and then or you could just make 2,000 models all one thing and then sell them all into both areas, which is like so odd.
Well, it's not even just that, but like different countries have different regulations about lights, about brakes.
Interesting. Yeah, that's actually very true.
Like some countries, like you have to have a amber turn signal, but in America you don't, which I don't like that. I think every car should have a separate amber turn signal.
Oh, okay.
But in America you can have the brake light, the red brake light, also be a turn signal. Like Cadillacs and Fords, they do that. All the work vans you see, they all have the same brake light as turn signals.
Oh, okay. So in Europe it's not really like
in Europe you have to have a separate turn signal. It has to be amber. And also in Europe, a lot of cars have to, when you hit the brakes, there's like a second brake light that turns on to show that you're braking hard. So either it flashes the hazards automatically, or it brakes, it flashes the brake lights, or just your rear fog lights turn on. Oh, some countries also have rear fog lights as a requirement too.
Rear fog lights.
Yeah, so it's like a really bright red light.
What would be the point of that?
So when it snows, when you're in a blizzard, it's just a really, really bright red light. Huh. So that people can see you farther away.
Oh,
so you don't get rear-ended in a snowstorm.
Got you. Okay, that makes more sense now because I was like trying to figure out why.
Yeah, but, so some of the European cars that get brought over here have that. Like my mom's Volvo has that. And BMWs do. But like none of the Japanese or the American cars do that.
Okay, I mean, yeah, we don't. There's actually quite a bit of snow, I guess, in America, but around like here. But in Japan and all, is there that much snow?
Not really, but like Sweden, it's crazy.
Yeah, Sweden. That's the country I was thinking of.
Europe, it's crazy. So they have that over there.
Huh? I didn't actually know that about the cars, because that, well, and this is one thing that's interesting about, I guess, those cars in general with and I mean, I guess not to go back to Tesla, but with like SpaceX and everything like that, like with what they're doing, because I find terraforming specifically a very interesting subject, where it's like actually creating. He's not talking about terraforming, to be fair. He's talking about making a habitat on Mars, and eventually terraforming, but like, it sounds like he's going for the more realistic option, which is to create that habitat. Right. And so that. Because that's supposed to happen in 2026. That's not that far, bro. That's like 5 years.
I don't know.
Less now. Where it's like to actually he's gonna send people to Mars, and this private company is gonna send people to Mars, and then you got Blue Origin now with Bezos, which he's putting all his time into because he resigned as CEO of Amazon. He's still chairman, but yeah, no,
he foot in the door.
Yeah, he still needs some of that money, but and then you have I guess Virgin Galaxy, but that's not really a space company. That's like I think it sounds almost like they're working more so on like quicker domestic travel stuff, not really like going to space. Right. I could be wrong, but yeah, you got a lot of like private actors kind of going through it, and now NASA sent a rover to Mars just a little bit ago in conjunction with the EU, and so it's like you got kind of all these different space agencies working together to try to explore like other places. So what do you think? And I'm leading up to this question. Do you think it's a waste of money to do that? Because so for example, like Bezos' company Blue Origin just got $10 billion approved through Congress. NASA can't get any money, but even the money that they do get, and same with like SpaceX. Do you think it's kind of a waste of money to spend it on that, or instead of like earthly issues, I guess? Or do you think
stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Or peasant stuff, exactly. Or do you think it's necessary in a way?
I think so. I think that a lot of this has to do with the Earth's population has just been growing rapidly. It's going to keep growing faster and faster the more people we have. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know what we're at now, but I think we're getting close to 9 or 10 billion.
Yeah, I think we're almost hitting 9 billion right now.
However many it is, and it's like, and so part of me wonders if like, this is gonna be kind of conspiracy, but like I wonder if like, you know, COVID showed up because the Earth was like, listen, like y'all getting too much, you know, you're just ruining the planet, and so I feel like that it kind of almost sent out a plague of like, listen, like you gotta stop.
Yeah.
And then we just fought it, and so now I think we have to go to other planets and ruin those planets too, because there's gonna be so many. I mean, there's like what, 1 million, or is it 1 million or 1 billion people in India? Like there's 1 billion,
there's
so many people.
I think it's like I think it's 1.2 bill, and they're gonna pass China, which is like 1.5 billion in like 10 years. Crazy. They're gonna pass them.
That's so many. Because
they have a higher population growth in China. So. Yeah.
And so at some point we're gonna have too many people. Yeah. Where they're gonna have to start building.
There was a thing where I think it was the max amount of people the world could house is 12 billion. I could be wrong on this, but yeah.
We'll
especially
because
we're growing exponentially.
Yeah.
Especially because agricultural developments and like we're making more resistant crops to like drought and famine and all that.
Yeah.
At least in the U.S., like first world countries are making these.
Right.
So it's like if we just produce those even more, then yeah, like theoretically you can just keep people alive. Like, and people are living longer too. That's another big thing, because people used to die at like 20,
right?
Or I mean like 26 or something.
Yeah, you're like 30. You're like older.
Yeah, like even back in the Great, I think it was like the 1920s, so right before the Great Depression. I think the average lifespan was 45. Like you lived to 45, and that was like a long time. versus now it's something like 78 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like almost doubled in like less than 100 years.
Well, and I don't know if you've heard about this. I don't know how it probably isn't true, but there are these people that claim that they're time travelers, right?
Yeah,
There's people that are like, oh, I've just been to the future, and like people live for like 400 years or something.
I mean,
and we
it's
all live in these
possible.
weird little bubbles, and
Yeah. I don't know about the time traveling thing if that's possible, but it is possible in the future that if we don't screw ourselves, then we can live for 400.
The theory is that the alien ships that we've commandeered, that the government has commandeered in Area 51, have this kind of technology in it that allows them to travel between space and sound or whatever, and that's how they get here so quickly because they're from some like extremely far away galaxy, but they can travel here instantly or whatever.
Oh, okay.
And so the theory is that they use that technology to travel between space and time, and then you can just show up at a different time, I guess. I don't know.
That's weird. Because, so this is, did you see the footage of those Navy pilots recording the little dots? And like it was like going down in the water and coming back up and like that, like a split second.
Right.
So it's really interesting because the theory for a lot of those, and there was actually a papers released by the Pentagon, I believe, like to Congress, where it was something like, and this is a redacted version, but there was something like, I think, 113 reported sightings. I think it was a bit more. So maybe it was like a 120 reported sightings of like stuff that they could not identify. So UFOs, unidentified flying objects. So, and then 13 of those defied, like they had no idea, like it just defied the laws of like physics. Like they were like, I have no idea what this is. And according to them, none of it is U.S. technology, which, I mean, it could be, they could just be covering, but like, but so this is where I'm struggling though on it. There's kind of two things. One, even if it is aliens, for example, coming, why would they like come all the way here, wait like a couple seconds, and then fly away after they get photographed? And then the other thing is like, even if it was China or Russia or like one of these other, like, I don't know if Russia could really do it, but if it was like China or somewhere like that, why would they do that either? Why would they do their training exercises by the U.S.? Okay,
so like what I like to think is that like, you know how like when you're in high school you like go out on a drive with your friends, go see like a different town or see what's going on in the rich area or whatever. Yeah. What if it's just like a couple of teenage aliens just out for a cruise? What's going on Earth today? What are they doing over there?
They're going to the drive.
You know, and then because they're traveling between space and time, they don't know what they're gonna see when they get there.
Yeah.
So they could show up in the 40s. They could show up in the 2200s or whatever. They don't know. And so what if it's just that, and then someone sees them and they're like, oh no, they saw us, like, go. Like, what if it's, that'd be hilarious.
That actually would be
if
funny.
If that's what it is. Because
a bunch of teenage aliens.
Dude, they're just like poking around like, oh, my parents are not to go to Earth, but like we're gonna check it out anyways. You know, it's like some rebellious thing to go look at Earth for a
So in the future, all teenagers or alien teenagers are gonna have a flying.
It's a rite of passage. It's a rite of passage to abandon
Do they still have
their
to be
planet 16? and
and
just go to travel different planets and with their friends on a Saturday night to see what's going on Earth.
Like, you know, that's an interesting theory, actually.
I've literally never. I just came up with that. I'm like, that'd be hilarious.
You just came up with
I just came up with that.
Dude, it's gonna be like 100 years from now. It's like proven.
Proven. Jackson was right.
Yeah, it's been fact all along. A bunch of teenage aliens.
You know that?
I am a teenager. But yeah, so but it's when you look at that stuff, it's really weird to think about, like, because the possibility that there is more life in the universe, not necessarily like us, like sentient beings, but even like microscopic life just in the universe, is almost like a reality in a way.
Yeah,
like, we have yet to find it, but
I think it's ignorant to think we're the only form of life out of all of these stars and galaxies. Like, there's no way we're the only form of life.
Yeah.
But I also am not going to say that it's one thing or another. I don't know what the quote-unquote aliens are.
Yeah,
you know? Yeah. I'm not going to say it's a little green man or it's some other form. It could be anything. We don't know what it is. But I'm not going to say that there's nothing out there because something has to be out there.
Yeah, just in the fact... I agree. Yeah, I 100% agree on that. Where it's like... I think I took like an astronomy class or something like that, and the professor talked a lot about life in the universe, and like how there's like moons and stuff that have like kind of the right stuff going on right now that could be life. like microscopic life on these moons, or
Right.
even just like in other galaxies or something like that. Which is kind of cool to think about. That it's like, maybe one, there's more life out there, but two, we could find like a habitable planet for humans. Like, even though it might be light years away, you know, like thousands and thousands of light years away, if we could develop enough technology or steal a
Right.
car from an alien kid,
Yeah.
we could get there.
Yeah.
we could be successful in getting there. But yeah, that's so I guess a little bit of switching topics, but because I know you're more into, and obviously you don't have to talk about like specific investments, but I know you're kind of getting into more like stocks and looking up like real estate and that type of stuff.
Right.
What kind of? It's not that it seems like a sudden switch, but I've known you for like 4 years now, 5 years, or something like that, and so it seems maybe in the past like 2 or 3 years that kind of has become like a main thing you're kind of looking at nowadays in conjunction with like cars and everything like that.
Yeah.
So do you know, similar with the car question, like do you know what was like, you know what, let me do that, like let me get this in as well, like let me try diversifying.
I think I first started kind of figuring out personal finance stuff when around the time I got my first job right before COVID happened, and I was actually like making money for once in my life. Money where it's like you don't remember where it came from. Like when you don't have a job, you remember where every dollar came from.
Yeah.
Like this was for my birthday. My mom gave me this. I took this. I found this change on the ground. But like once you're just getting a job, it's just my job. It's just my paycheck money.
Yeah.
Right? And so when I started getting a regular paycheck and I was saving up for things, I started just kind of also looking at personal finance online. And I'd kind of heard people talk about stocks, and I kind of want to see what that was. And so I went to YouTube and I found people like Dave Ramsey and Graham Stephan, and that I just kind of started binge watching all of these people's videos. I'm like, how did Graham Stephan make all this money? Like he was just a guy, and he invested in real estate after the recession, like 2011 or 12, and he was able to get some really good deals on stuff. And I've always been like about the deal and about like flipping stuff and selling stuff. I used to flip computers when I was little and like sell iPods and stuff on eBay. And so I always knew like the money was made in flipping stuff.
Okay.
And so now that I'm older and I have more money to play with, now I do that with cars. I've had 4 GX470s in the last year. So I don't know. I've always kind of liked to hustle and find different ways to do stuff. And I've always been a money counter. Like even when I was a little kid, I always liked to just acquire my money. Like other kids would, I got a dog, I'm gonna go spend it. I was like, no, I want to see how much I can get.
Yeah.
I remember I had a little box. I would keep it. And I had a piece of paper, and I would tally all the dollars.
Oh,
so
really?
As it grew, and I would use a different pen each time. So I had to have this like rainbow sheet of just different talent, and then it became so much of being numbers. And then when I said about $100. Like, oh my god, I have $100. And by the time I was in high school, I was able to buy a Mac. I bought a $1,200 MacBook Pro, and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing.
Yeah.
You know, I saved all my money, and then of course I went to high school freshman year, and all the kids like, you're a rich kid, you have a Mac, you're rich. Can you buy me lunch? You're rich. I'm like, this is all the money I've ever had was in this
computer.
In this one computer. Like that's it. Like that I'm not
that
rich
processor
anymore.
is
like,
my money.
Like that was it. And so I don't know. I've just always enjoyed personal finance, and the more that I get into it and learn about it, I think it's really interesting. And I like to incorporate that with cars because I work at a dealership, and so people always I try and help you with like their finances and their loan, because people don't understand how loans work. They don't know what APR is or their credit score, how that matters. Like you know, we had a mutual friend recently buy a car from a dealership. Yeah. And I really wanted to go with him, but I just couldn't get away that day. And they tried to just totally screw him over on a warranty and gap insurance, and they're like, "Oh, you should finance this because it'll build your credit score." Like dealerships, they make their money on finance. Yeah. Sometimes they sell the car for almost what they paid for. They don't make any money on the car. They make money on finance. And so they quoted him at some interest rate in the teens. And I was like, dude, like if you do this over the course of the loan, they're gonna make like $5,000 off of you in your interest. It was like an 11 or 12% interest rate. Wow. $12,000 car. Wow. Yeah, so if he financed that for 60 months, he would have paid them an extra $5,000. And they also want another $5,000 in alarms and warranties on the stuff. I'm like, this It's a Honda. You don't need a warranty
Yeah.
on this car. If you're buying a car you believe in, you shouldn't need a warranty on it. And they were trying to scare him. Well, they tried to scare him like, oh, it has 120,000 miles, the timing belt might go out. And I just asked them to bring him a Carfax report. And on the Carfax report, it showed 2 years ago it got a new timing belt at like 20,000 miles ago. It's fine. And they tried to oh, timing belt might snap in that car.
Oh, to get him to get the warranty?
They tried to scare him into it. And that was I can't believe that still happens.
Yeah.
Because my dealership doesn't do that. And I'm not gonna say where I work, but I work at a very national used car chain, and we just we don't really force people into that. It's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah, it's just like you're in, you're out.
I was amazed at that, and then, but some people, we have had people because we will approve anybody where I work, and some people will get themselves into horrific interest rates.
Yeah, I think yeah, because I can imagine someone walking out of there with like a 30% interest rate or something like that.
We had a guy. He worked at a Lexus dealership. They wouldn't approve him, and so he came to us and he wanted to get. He was so caught up in image, right? He had an old BMW to trade in. It was giving me $2,500, but then it stopped running, so it became a $500 trade in. And then the guy's like, "Oh, I'll sell it later," but then he ended up just giving it to us anyways. And it was like a 2019 Lexus RC300, right? It was like a $30,000. 4-cylinder used Lexus with like 20,000 miles on it, and I don't remember the exact terms, but I just remember I did the math, and I think he got like 27 or 28% interest on that car, and it was like I think it was a 60-month loan, or it might have been 72.
It was like
it might have been 72-month loan because this guy just had horrible credit. They required $6,000 down just to allow him to get a loan. Okay? And at the end of the term, mind you, this is just the financed portion, not including the $6,000. He would have paid $72,000.
Oh my god.
For a used 4-cylinder 2-door Lexus.
That's so he basically more than would have doubled.
Yeah.
The amount of
and
holy shit.
Even the sales guy was kind of like, dude, like, you shouldn't buy this. You should just get like a cheap car on Craigslist just to get you by.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I need a new car. Like, I need to look nice at where I work, which is not true. You do not need that.
Yeah.
And this guy,
you park in the back anyway.
He signed himself up for a $72,000 base model Lexus.
Oh man, should have bought a Tesla.
He could have. If you're gonna sign yourself up for that, get something actually interesting.
Yeah, that will last.
Get a used Audi R8. Get like an old Lambo or something. Like, get something cool. Not that. I mean, 70 grand. You can get 3 new BRZs.
It's a down payment in some places.
You could buy a house. You could buy a house
like,
in some places of the world for that much.
Yeah, that's insane.
Image, and mind you, we have a 30-day return policy, and that car did not come back.
Okay, so it's his.
He's with it. He's stuck with it. That was a few months ago.
Okay,
that's his car now.
Huh.
So, like, I feel so bad. So, yeah, do not finance a car. Do not finance a car with horrible interest rates. Because what they don't show you in the payment calculator, they'll show you what the interest rate is.
Yeah.
They'll show you your down payment, and they'll show you your monthly payments.
Yeah, but they won't tell you how much.
And they'll show you the amount you're financing.
Yeah.
But they don't show you what all those payments are added up.
Yeah.
And so if say you have $800 payments, 60 months, you add that together, that's what you're paying over the whole course of the loan.
It's ridiculous.
And then so this guy was like, oh, I can afford an $850 car payment a month. And I'm like, plus insurance, that's like $1,000, and gas. Like, so then you're spending like $1,100 to $1,200 a month on just a car.
Oh my god!
That started out as a $30,000 car.
It's that's more than my rent. That's
right. These are the I got yous of these cars. Like, you gotta really be careful out there.
That's ridiculous.
So, what the smart thing to do is always buy a car in cash. I have owned 10 cars now. I'm 19 years old. I have bought all of them in cash. I've saved up for them. I've sold them. I've rolled that money into other ones. But I've never had a loan on them because I'm not paying for financing.
Yeah. Well, because I think the trick would be get something that's good. Don't be afraid that it's used as long as the facts, like the Carfax and everything, are proper and like they're up to standard. And especially for like a first car, maybe you don't have a lot of money just in general, where it's like maybe you can't go and spend $30,000 on a Tesla or something like that.
Oh, no way.
But like if you can get something for like a good car, solid car for like if you can save up for like $5,000, even $3,000, you can find like decent stuff that will get you through the next couple of years.
Oh yeah.
You know, like, so I think that's one of the things where ideally you wouldn't be in debt to someone or something.
Right.
Like that's
If anything,
the ideal
you wanna be in debt
situation.
that's what I'm in debt to myself and my savings, and I know I have to pay it back at some point. Like when I buy a car, like I'm like I gotta get that money back out of that car.
Yeah.
You know, like like my first car didn't run. I inherited it, right? I got that, didn't run.
Yeah.
And then when that one ended, I was like, I need another car. I bought a $3,000 4Runner.
Yeah.
And I didn't have all that, so I had to borrow like $1,000 out of my savings, but I knew I had to pay that back.
Yeah.
And then once I got a car that worked, I just kept saving and saving every single paycheck I got, and I really wanted that FRS. And I saved up and I bought it outright.
Yeah.
It took me about 6 or 7 months. I mean, you remember me talking about that. I remember I specifically remember when I first got that job. I was like, my goal this year, I'm getting an FRS. I will have it. You remember that?
Yeah, I do.
And about 6 months.
I remember
later,
you getting the FRS.
Yeah, I had one. 6 months later, I was so excited, and so I just saved up and I bought it.
Yeah, that was a great car. That was.
I think it was it.
Yeah, but it's definitely one of those things where. Because I grew up and like my dad would always talk to me about like stocks and like finances and that type of thing. So like I had an interesting childhood in that way where it's kind of always been on my mind, and like college similarly,
right.
And like saving up for college and all that. But with it wasn't until like maybe senior, somewhat junior year that I knew other people that were also like into stocks or like into like that type of like thinking and all that,
Right.
where it was like, oh, okay. So like for the past 10 years or something, I've been learning about this stuff, and now people are starting to learn about it too, or like at least talk about it more in general, because I feel like it's really good to have like a group of people that you kind of like talk to about like stocks or like what's popping and that type of thing.
Right.
Whereas like at least with stocks with me, I go for longer term investments to like build up my dividends, and then just essentially reinvest to get more out of it the next dividend payment. So I just put it into like REITs, which is like real estate stocks for the most part.
Yeah.
But there's definitely like moments where I've researched into like crypto and that type of stuff. Like in beginning of 2019, I did a lot of research into crypto, and it's like, the thing with me, at least, I don't know if you have this philosophy, but the thing with me, if I don't understand how something works, or I don't like the company or the business behind it, I don't invest in it because I just don't believe in it.
Right.
And so like with crypto, I couldn't figure out how it worked. Like I understand blockchain technology, I understand all that, really but I don't understand the value of crypto. So I didn't invest in it back in 2019, and I don't regret that, even though I would have made a lot of money, obviously. Yeah. But it's just like I didn't understand it, so I couldn't like do it in my mind. Same with a lot of like Chinese companies. I don't really invest in that much, just because I don't like the fact that the CCP could essentially just take it.
Right.
Like obviously there's certain companies that have stricter regulations like that. But if you look at like the Ant Group and all that, and we won't touch on this too much, but like the Ant Group was supposed to go public with the guy who founded Alibaba, and the guy Jack Ma said something critical of the CCP, and they took his IPO status, and the company lost $70 billion of worth in the past year. It was ridiculous. He like just showed up because they kept him like at home, and so it was just one of those things with Chinese companies. I'm like very hesitant on almost. Like I do a lot more research into them before I even decide on doing it, because I want to know what's up. But you should do that with companies in general. It's like understand who the board is, understand what they've done before, and kind of that type of thing. Obviously, some people are just like, GameStop, let's do it.
well, so that's the thing I just saw today. It's like you really shouldn't, when you're investing, unless you plan on putting the effort into being a day trader, which is a lot of work.
Yeah, that's a ton of work. I had a
time.
friend that tried to do that.
That's so hard.
Yeah.
And so if you want to just have long-term stocks that you're not going to really pay attention to, you want to focus on companies that you believe in and you think that are like have one, a chance of succeeding, and two, you believe in the product and you think that what they're doing is actually game changing. So like I have stock in Neo.
Yeah.
And they're a Chinese car company. And they're kind of, people are saying they're like the Tesla of China.
Yeah.
And so what I like about Neo is that they are doing things that Tesla couldn't even do because China has a better network for this. So when Tesla first came out, they tried to do battery swaps. to make EV, because EVs take a little while to charge.
Yeah.
And so, but NIO has actually found a way to make battery swaps plausible. And so they have stations, and like they're up and running. They're doing it.
Okay, so it's a current thing
it's an
like,
actual
in China
thing. Like
going around.
They're just getting out, but like I've seen video of it. It actually works. People are doing it. They can actually swap the batteries in cars in like 3 to 5 minutes.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so if they can make that logistically work and be successful in China, they can probably implement it in Norway.
Yeah.
Once it gets into China and Norway, it's game over. Like they're gonna win.
Yeah.
Like
because then they can start spreading through the EU and everything as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one thing with Well, see, that's exactly what I'm talking about because you know about this company, you understand how it works, and that's why you're invested in it, obviously. Cause, yeah, and like with a lot of my stuff, because it is real estate, like I just understand where they're invested in real estate, and then I buy into that, and then just hold forever. The stocks I have now were the same stocks I had 3 years ago.
I'm afraid to ever let go because of taxes.
Yeah, that's another thing. That's why I reinvest the dividends too, because then I don't have to pull out any money. And it continually grows the wealth. So then when I need it to pay off the horrific student loan debts that I'm going to accrue, I can actually possibly pay it.
That's a whole other tangent I could go down.
I know, it's ridiculous. But yeah, no, it's this has been investment advice with Jax and Khalil. Yes. I think we've touched on a lot of stuff. We've been going for like almost an hour now.
We really can.
Yeah, so I mean we can keep going, but it's YouTube has a limit on my channel for some reason. I don't really understand why. So but yeah, do you have anything else you wanna talk about? I know you have a YouTube channel.
I do have a YouTube channel. I make car videos about the cars that I have, and they usually rotate out pretty frequently, so I have some fresh stuff.
Watches how to change a tire video.
Oh my god, no! Great quality. No, I made that video in like middle school. It's horrible. But I make some recent. I have some GX content about if you're into GX 470s. I have stuff on how to make them cooler and more off-road capable and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming on.
Yep.
This has been good. This has been good. We've touched on quite a few topics actually.
Really
yeah, it's only been an hour, so.
Yeah.
But thanks for tuning in, guys. See you in the next one. Take care.